Hello every pony, and welcome back to another reading of Vinyl and Octavia University Days by DawnFade on fanfiction.net. Link to the stories in the description. Feel free to follow along if you like, or just go and read it because you don't want to listen to my voice. I completely understand that. Sorry I'm getting this out so late. I've been kind of busy with work and very tired. Going to BronyCon next week, prepping for that, and hopefully I'll have this and another one out very soon. Alright, let's get started with this. Chapters 17 and 18. Hope you enjoy. Octavia awoke in the early hours of the morning, leaving her feeling rather disoriented at the sight of darkness outside the window. The air held a feeling of stillness, as if the world was waiting for every pony to wake up before time resumed. Their room was light enough to see more than silhouettes, yet dim enough to rob everything of color. Everything, that is, except the bright blue mane belonging to the mare beside her. Vinyl was snoring softly, a dopey smile on her lips. As the cellist shifted to see her better, she found out why. One of her filly friend's hooves was resting gently against a very private area belonging to Octavia. Blood filled her cheeks as she remembered exactly what transpired yesterday afternoon. So many things had been whirling through her head, so much heat and emotion and pure, unbridled release. The very memory was enough to get her heart racing. So she ignored the white hoof that had wandered too far and snuggled closer to her lover. That was what they were now, wasn't it? She would check with Vinyl later, but it sounded right. Lovers. It was such a nice word. It made her feel like part of something bigger than herself, as if she had joined the elite ranks of ponies who do things with other ponies. Even more than that, it made her feel as though she was now half of a whole, like she and Vinyl were a single unit. But as much as she liked the sound of that, she decided she wouldn't phrase it quite like that if she told Vinyl how she felt. What if she scared her away by being too serious about it? What if the DJ just wanted to party a little bit? A lot of ponies did that these days. I'm not going to destroy my first relationship with my own social ineptitude. Vinyl deserved better than that. The cellist narrowed her eyes resolutely. She would be the greatest damn lover in existence. Once she had some time alone, she decided that a major study session was in order, and not one bit of it would be related to ancient treaties. It was time to put her array of effective study strategies towards something that actually mattered. With a little snort, Vinyl blinked awake. She had the unseeing gaze of some pony who hadn't fully regained their senses yet, and it looked positively adorable. The unicorn shifted slightly and raised a hoof to wipe a trail of drool from the corner of her mouth. Octavia's eyes widened. Oh, hey, Octavia, slurred her oblivious lover. Hi. Come here. You look cute. Vinyl slipped a hoof around Octavia's neck and pulled her in for a short smooch. Finally, the DJ woke up enough to realize that her filly friend was bright red. You okay, or... Oh, wait. Octavia could almost see the events of last night replaying over Vinyl's eyes. Sweet. Despite her embarrassment, the cellist found the strength to shove her partner in the chest. Oh, Vinyl winced but still grinned. So, you like it rough, huh? The second shove sent the white mare straight off the bed. Ow! Barely 3 seconds passed before two red eyes peeked cheekily over the edge of the bed. So you like it really rough, huh? Vinyl, can we just try to be serious for a few moments? Octavia sat up and crossed her hooves. Hey, you're the one who pushed me off the bed. The unicorn climbed back onto the sheets and sat beside the cellist. At first, her expression was one of playfulness, but it quickly dropped into a more solemn look under Octavia's gaze. Hey, you're not, freaked out about last night or anything, are you? Well, no. It was rather, She put her best Vinyl expression. Sweet. I just wanted to talk about it. Vinyl scratched the back of her head guiltily. Sorry, I just remembered what happened and got kinda excited. But you're right, we should talk about it. I hate to look a gift monkey in the mouth, but I like you too much to risk ruining this. Quickly leaning forward to hug the gray mare, Vinyl couldn't help but chuckle at the similarity in their thoughts. Trust me, if one of us is gonna mess up, it's gonna be me. I highly doubt that, especially after last night. Vinyl giggled. So it wasn't weird or anything? 'Cause if I did something dumb, you should probably tell me so I don't do it again. It was perfect. Don't worry. rather feel rather bad that you didn't. An incessant knock on the door broke through their private moment, and Octavia let out an annoyed groan. I'll get it, she grumbled, dropping off the bed and opening the door. Vinyl simply shrugged as if to say, what can you do? In the hallway outside, a yellow unicorn mare was nervously pawing at the ground. Hi, she said with a strained smile. Hello. Can I help you? I'm not really sure how to say this, but, well, I live in the room next to you two, and, I couldn't help but, overhear you last night. A prickly heat crept up Octavia's neck and settled behind her ears. Her face burned, and for a moment she felt lightheaded enough to faint. Oh, she squeaked. Is that so? Yes, and I hope you don't mind, but I took the liberty of casting a muffling spell on your door. I use it to listen to music when my parents were asleep. Well, that's not important. I just thought you two know that the walls are pretty thin, and, you might want to be more careful. The mare bit her lip and hesitated before continuing. If your friend is a unicorn, I could teach her the spell. If you want, am I being too nosy? Octavia's heart began to calm down. She didn't know what she had been expecting to happen when Sun Pony found out, but this was much more preferable to any of the vague negative outcomes her imagination had dreamt up. Not at all. She poked her head out into the hall and quickly checked either way. Thankfully, it was too early for any pony to be wandering around. Maybe you should come inside. The neighbor bit her lip again, but followed Octavia to the door, closing it behind her. Vinyl was relaxing on the bed in an overly casual pose, making it abundantly clear that she had been listening. Hey, she greeted awkwardly. Hi. So, got a useful spell to teach me, huh? Uh-huh. Alright, gee then. Octavia looked between the two unicorns and let out a very unrefined snort. She found pride in how quickly she pushed through her embarrassment, holding her head high and offering a shrug as explanation. What? We're all responsible ponies here. This shouldn't be a big deal. That was how adults did things, right? They didn't get all flustered over sexual matters. Right? Yes, that sounded right. It was amusing to note the speed at which both unicorns changed their attitudes. They stood straighter, yet relaxed their shoulders in a probable attempt to emulate an adult at ease. Octavia found adult Vinyl to be rather adorable, though of course she couldn't say anything lest she break the illusion. The accidental eavesdropper cleared her throat. Yes, you're right. We're adults. There's no need to be coy about this stuff. Octavia didn't bother correcting her. The unicorns began to talk about magic, so she quickly tuned out. She had learned long ago that trying to understand magic was a fruitless endeavor. Explaining the arcane arts to an earth pony or Pegasus was frequently equated with teaching a blind pony about color. While a blind pony could grasp some concept of sight, the idea of different shades and hues hardly seemed possible. Thoughts like these had occupied her mind a lot when she was younger. When there was little else to do but study, which was often thanks to her non-existent social life, all subjects became fair game. Octavia grudgingly recalled that she had gone through a rather obsessive magic studying phase many years ago. She had told her mother and tutors that it had been because magic was incomprehensible to her, but the truth was far simpler and infinitely more shameful. Magic could do a lot of things. It could change a pony, change her surroundings, maybe even take her far away from those surroundings. It seemed like a miracle fix for every problem. The worst part was reading about all the amazing feats that could be accomplished with magic, and knowing she would never be able to do them because she was unfortunate enough not to be born with a sharp extra bone on her head. A teleportation spell, for when she didn't want to go back to the psychologist, or a summon spell for those large summer weeks without any pony to talk to. There had been unicorns on the staff in her family estate, but they weren't allowed to do tricks or talk for too long. Most were cleaners, using their talents to expunge every iota of dirt from each room. And so she spent many evenings in silent envy of the unicorn race. She even went so far as to wonder if all three races were truly equal. That was one of the few secrets she hadn't minded discussing with a professional. Over time, the feelings faded, especially when she was allowed to go to school and observe how the other students didn't seem to care about any perceived differences. Maybe her thoughts had been the result of seeing society from outside it, rather than from within. And if you need to make it for a larger or smaller area, you just redo the start again, finished the neighbor. I gotcha. Vital reddened slightly. It's been a while since I bothered to learn any new spells. That's fine. Most unicorns don't bother with anything more than telekinesis. She stuck a hoof out. I'm Leafy, by the way. Nice to meet you. Vinyl grinned and bumped the hoof with her own. Vinyl scratch. Also DJ Pone 3. But it's been a while since I've had a gig. No, I remember you. The Drowntown Club was your regular place, wasn't it? Octavia smiled at the way her DJ's eyes lit up. Yeah, I always had my setup on the inner ring. Were you there when I last played? Yes, I was on the outer ring. Did they make you pay for the subwoofer? Nah, I weaseled out of it. They took money out of my pay to fix the lights, though, jerks. Leafy giggled and talked to Octavia. And it's also nice to meet you, Octavia, and it's my pleasure. She extended a hoof as well. Honestly, I'm surprised we haven't met before, considering you're right next door. Shrugging, Leafy turned to leave, revealing her cutie mark as a short green wand with a 6-pointed star on the end. Octavia wasn't sure what to make of it, but some ponies considered it rude to ask what a cutie mark meant, so she kept her lips sealed. Well, if I don't weird you out too much, we could hang out sometime if you want. Vinyl cast a questioning glance at her cellist, and upon receiving an approving smile, floated her phone from across the room. Sounds good to me. What's your number? Once the details had been exchanged and Leafy was gone, Vinyl turned to Octavia with a thoughtful expression. We don't hang out with many other ponies, do we? No, I suppose we don't. The DJ scratched the back of her head, looking oddly guilty. You know, I didn't talk to many other ponies back when we were just friends. I kept worrying about whether we would see less of each other if we found other ponies to chill with. Before Octavia could open her mouth to commiserate, Vinyl let out a devious giggle. But now that we live together, you have to hang out with me no matter what. It's the perfect trap. Octavia joined in the giggling and kissed the unicorn on the cheek. What can I say? You make very enticing bait. It took a few seconds of blushing for Vinyl to remember where she was going with this. Yeah, anyway, now that we know we'll see each other all the time, we should start building a group of something. Otherwise, how will we have parties? I'm in no position to turn down more friends. After all, look how my first one turned out. Vinyl stepped closer and affectionately rubbed her cheek against Octavia's. You better not sleep with every friend you make. You'll get a reputation. Oh, shush. The next couple of days passed in a haze of self-indulgent bliss. Despite their mutual agreement to start making new friends and expand their social circle, it was hard to break the routine of waking up, getting breakfast together, and attending classes, then spending the rest of the day wandering the city or simply lounging around at home. Indeed, as evening approached and Vinyl led the way back through campus after another successful dinner date, she couldn't think of a better use of her time. They could make friends and stuff later, but right now, they were content to simply enjoy their time together. It was an odd feeling, being content. She let herself hesitantly start to believe it was here to stay, and for now, nothing had proven her wrong. They hadn't tried the whole making love thing again yet, but she wasn't in a rush. That was one of the benefits of contentedness, feeling like she had all the time in the world. Maybe next time we should try that couple special again? She suggested innocently. Octavia quirked an eyebrow and smiled knowingly. I assume you just missed the taste, yes? You wouldn't happen to be suggesting it was because of the effect it had on us? She bumped her hips against the DJ's as they walked down the path to the student village. Lowering her voice to a whisper, she continued, Because you should know by now that such aids are completely unnecessary. Vinyl smirked. Well, some ponies feeling feisty tonight. As they approached the door to their building, it opened from the inside. A mint green unicorn stepped out, looked around with a bored expression for a split second, and then froze at the sight of the couple, who immediately did the same. Before any pony could speak, Bonbon stepped out after Lyra and gasped in surprise at the sight of them. Considering how friendly Bonbon had been the last time they spoke to her, Vinyl shouldn't have been surprised to see the blue and pink maned mare beaming as she trotted closer. Gosh, you two are never home when I visit. Had a night out, did you? Vinyl couldn't tear her eyes away from Lyra, who apparently felt likewise. Octavia stepped in to continue the conversation, wearing a friendly smile and looking a lot more comfortable than Vinyl was feeling. Yes, we did. On Sykes' orders, of course. As soon as Bonbon winced, Octavia let out a long sigh. You told Lyra, didn't you? I'm so sorry. The candy-marked mare rushed forward to hug Octavia apologetically. Vinyl's head snapped towards her, and a low growl left her mouth. The three ponies looked at her weirdly, and she blinked in surprise, realizing what she just did. Her filly friend was very clearly trying not to smile, and Bonbon wasn't even trying. Lyra just watched with wide eyes, remaining neutral. As I was saying, I'm very sorry. It was a moment of weakness. She promised not to tell any pony, though. It's alright, I understand. No secrets between friends, right? Octavia replied, regaining a bit of her good mood at the lack of bad consequences so far. Yes, exactly. Bonbon looked over her shoulder at Lyra, who had yet to look away from Vinyl. Oh, for Celestia's sake, Lyra, stop gawking like a foal in a circus and come say hello. The unicorn jerked at the mention of her name, breaking free of the odd staring contest and walking over to stand beside Bonbon. She swallowed and nodded at the DJ opposite her. Vinyl. The DJ in question nodded back. Lyra. Bonbon looked exasperated. Really, you two? This isn't a duel. Rolling her eyes, Octavia decided to refocus the conversation before anything unfriendly began. Not that she was too worried, both unicorns were remaining quiet. So what brought you here to see us so late? Oh yes, I almost forgot. Lyra has moved in with me into the flat above my shop and also began working there. With her help, it's actually making enough money to live off of. I don't have to be a waitress at the other store anymore. Vinyl grinned evilly. Moved in together, huh? She asked Lyra, who raised a hoof defensively. It's not what it sounds like. I'm straight as an arrow. Yeah, me too, Vinyl winked. I am! Scowling, Lyra looked to her friend for support. Tell her, Bon. After exchanging an I can't believe I actually have to do this look with Octavia, Bonbon nodded. Yes, he is. Anyway, since none of that would have happened if it weren't for you two, I wanted to invite you both back for drinks or something. Thank you, but I can't drink yet, Octavia explained. Lyra snorted. Well, there goes my number one theory on how she ended up with you, she muttered off to the side. How about I theorize my hoof through your face? The white unicorn hissed back. They exchanged glares and looked away. Likewise, Octavia and Bonbon exchanged looks of worry. Lyra, Bonbon said softly. The mint green mare clenched her teeth and turned back to Vinyl. I'm sorry. The DJ's head snapped around. You what? I'm sorry for what I said. It was mean. Well, no problem, I guess. Nodding in satisfaction, Bonbon returned her attention to the cellist. It's getting a bit late now, and we probably picked the wrong night to do it anyway. Just, if you ever need somewhere to go, our doors are open. The store isn't difficult to find. I've used almost every trick in the psychology book to get people to notice it. Octavia smiled. We'll definitely come by soon. I'm so glad everything worked out. With her goal achieved, Bonbon started trotting away with Lyra, following close behind. Oh, and I extended the same invitation to Psyche, so if you're still hiding anything from him, you may want to approach cautiously, she called over her shoulder. As soon as they vanished out of sight, Vinyl led the way inside the building, rubbing her eyes tiredly as she did. So, let me get this straight. Are we friends with them now? It would appear so. Octavia skipped a little beat with each step, a silly grin on her face. That makes 3 new friends, including that leafy mare. We're making good progress. Uh-huh, Vinyl replied uncertainly. They climbed the stairs and went the short distance down the hallway to their room. As had become tradition, as soon as they made it through the door, they collapsed onto the giant makeshift double bed with 2 big sighs. Octavia wrapped her hooves around Vinyl's waist and kissed her stomach twice before snuggling closer. Isn't everything just perfect, Vinyl? And we've still got a whole week before exams. We can go visit Bonbon's shop tomorrow, see if Leafy wants to come into town the next day, but buy Psyche a big bouquet of flowers the day after that. Vinyl raised an eyebrow in confusion. Octavia? What are you talking about? We had a whole week left. Today's Sunday. Exams start tomorrow. The cellist's eyes widened considerably. Oh dear, she squeaked. Chapter 18. The exterior of the exam center was painted black. All the windows were covered on the inside by heavy blood-red curtains, preventing the milling crowd of students outside from seeing what horrors awaited them. An abstract sculpture was embedded in the ground near the doorway, in the form of a mare cowering from unseen foes. An icy wind picked up, shearing through what little clothing the students wore. From atop the building, a crow cawed harshly. Octavia swallowed nervously, feeling very small in the shadow of such an imposing building. It doesn't really fill you with confidence, does it? No, Bonbon replied in a small voice. No, it doesn't. You two are such babies, Vinyl muttered under her breath, earning a nod of agreement from Lyra. Things were still a little weird between them, but the looming exams had given them a shared purpose, namely, keeping their friends from freaking out. I can fail this and still pass the unit, Octavia squeaked. You're not gonna fail, replied Vinyl flatly. If worse comes to worse, we can have Psych pull some strings about the whole discouraging you from studying thing. I doubt even he could revert a bad grade. With an ominous creak, the door swung open. Unfortunately, rather than an eldritch creature dripping with the blood of innocent students, something infinitely more horrifying appeared in the doorway. A middle-aged Stein with thick black glasses and a light brown coat. His monotonous voice brought hush to the nervous rabble. All the students taking the psychology exam, please follow me. No talking. Once the exam begins, you will not be allowed to leave until it is completed or time runs out. He turned and stepped back inside the building. The front of the crowd drifted forward uneasily, none wanting to be the first through the door. Octavia's breathing became shallow as Vinyl shuffled forward to follow them. The cellist's hooves remained rooted in the ground, as rigid as tree trunks. Vinyl, she tried to call, but all that came out was another breathless squeak. Luckily, the DJ noticed she wasn't following and doubled back. What's up? Come on, we gotta go in. I can't. She hoped her wide eyes would be enough to convey her terror. Almost half the students were inside now. Yeah, you can. Trust me, you'll do fine. Vinyl tried to summon a cocky grin, but seeing how worried her filly friend was made it difficult to smile. Octavia grimaced. I don't feel well. And she didn't. Her stomach churned and twisted, making her nauseous. Vinyl frowned and raised a hoof to take Octavia's temperature. Sighing, she let it drop to the ground. It's just nerves. I promise you, when you sit down and open the booklet, you're going to feel really silly for being worried. You've got this, Philly. The unicorn looked back at the quickly thinning group of students. Only a few dregs remained. And if worse comes to worse, look at me and wake 3 times, and I'll make a distraction or something that ruins the exam so you'll be able to retake it. You would do that? Octavia asked incredulously. University exams were no laughing matter. They decided the future of many students, and ruining one would bring heavy consequences. For you? Finally, Vinyl managed to crack a confident smirk. Damn straight. The cellist barely resisted the urge to engulf her filly friend in a grateful hug and settled for a shaky smile. Just knowing that she had a way out, no matter how risky, helped to ease her anxiety. Thank you. The DJ puffed out her chest. It's my job. Now come on, let's go wreck this thing. I have failed everything. Ever. Octavia rested her head on the table and covered it with her hooves. The ambient noise of the university tavern did little to put her mind at ease. It was full of students with shaking, battle-worn hooves and sunken eyes that had seen too much. Such was the hour after a university exam. Am I gonna have to spend all night reassuring you? Vinyl muttered, her patience having run dry in the first 12 minutes of the ordeal. If any pony fails, it'll be me. At least you have the brains to get a good grade. The unicorn took a sip from her non-alcoholic cider and placed the mug back on the table before adding, I kinda wish you'd use the escape plan. At least then I could chalk my bad score up to being crazy. Oh, stop putting yourself down. It's getting tedious, Octavia snapped. Vinyl glared at her and started to reply, only to catch herself and take a deep breath. Babe, we're stressed out. Let's just try to forget about school and chill out, okay? Oh, Celestia, we have our musical theory exams in an hour, the cellist exclaimed, abruptly sitting upright. And then my history exam is an hour after that. In what was becoming a disturbingly calming occurrence, Vinyl took the responsible role and pushed her own feelings aside in order to soothe Octavia. Relax. Even though we're studying different kinds of music, our exams are in the same room. I checked. We can do the same thing we did for psychology. What about history, then? I won't be in there with you physically, but, I'll be there in spirit? She finished hopefully. I'm doomed, came the muffled reply as head met table once more. Vinyl sighed and looked across the crowded room. In a corner booth, Bonbon was slowly rocking back and forth while Lyra hugged her. It was tempting to yell another gay joke at them, but in the wake of the exam, she decided to leave the ceasefire unbroken. If they were a couple, cool. If not, cool. After all, wasn't that how she wanted ponies to treat her own relationship with Octavia? Look on the bright side. It'll all be over after today. Smiling reassuringly, Vinyl reached across the table and touched Octavia's right hoof. Just get through this day, and that's it. The cellist looked up and hesitantly returned the smile. I don't suppose you have a spell that will take us to tomorrow morning? Nope. She lowered her voice. But if you follow me back to our room, I can make time fly. Octavia giggled and nodded. Okay, then. It took a moment for the words to register in the DJ's brain. Wait, really? I mean, I was just trying to be cheesy, but if you want to... Her Philly friend just kept smiling as she left the table. Vinyl almost knocked it over in a hurry to follow. The atmosphere outside the building where the music exams were to take place was much less foreboding than the psychology building. Either that, or the massive release of endorphins had given the couple rose-tinted vision. Regardless, the two mares felt absurdly confident as they waited for the door to open. We have this, Octavia stated with determination. Got, Vinyl whispered as she tried to scrub the remains of the blush from her cheeks. It's got. We got this. But that doesn't make any sense. Got is past tense, and Octavia was saved from having to launch into a full explanation by the exam coordinator pushing open the door, waving once, and retreating inside without ceremony. This time, the pair moved forward without hesitation. Just before they stepped inside, the unicorn nudged her filly friend. Say it. It's wrong. Just say it. Octavia sighed and tried to look annoyed, but she couldn't help but smile as she replied, We got this. Damn straight. Inside, a maze of desks spaced evenly apart over a large hall greeted them. Upon each desk, a small booklet rested. Just like last time, without even saying anything, they quickly found the middle of the room, where the booklets marked classical and modern ran parallel. They took desks beside each other and watched as their fellow music enthusiasts shuffled into the room. Music. If there was one subject Vinyl and Octavia were prepared for, it was music. Vinyl knew exactly what she was good at, and wasn't afraid to shout it out loud. The much more modest Octavia was also not unaware of her own talent. It was undeniable after so many years and classes, but she would always hesitate before declaring herself the best, a trait her filly friend did not share. Being aware of their skill did little to diffuse the tension. If ever there was a way to truly determine if their confidence in themselves and each other was well placed, it was this exam. Vinyl closed her eyes and cast her mind back to her final gig before the semester started, the lights flashing and strobing in time with the beat, the dancers throwing themselves around the floor in reckless, ecstatic abandon, and her mixing table with all the switches in their perfect positions and the power of the world beneath her hooves. That was talent. Nothing her exam results said could ever convince her otherwise. She was the best damn DJ in the world. Octavia, too, shut her eyes and sought reassurance from distant memories. Her first cello instructor, eyes watery with emotion as he watched her perform in her mother's study. He had choked back tears and whispered with a crackled voice, Perfect. The little gray filly had smiled. Her mother had frowned. And the instructor had been replaced. His words, however, and what they meant to her, could never be taken away. For the briefest moment, many years ago, she had been perfect. Backed by the confidence their recollections gave them, the couple reached forward and opened their booklets as the timer began. Octavia was the first to realize, but Vinyl followed only moments after. I know this. The question seemed ludicrous, their answers obvious. Vinyl almost started giggling when she finished the first 2 pages in less than 15 minutes. This was nothing. The psychology exam had been tough but fair, and she had expected the same here. For the first time in her life, she was annihilating an exam. The unicorn looked around cheerfully to see other ponies were having as much fun. Sweaty brows and nervous swallowing greeted her. One mare looked to be on the verge of tears as she skimmed through the later pages, clearly realizing she was out of her depth. Vinyl just couldn't bring herself to feel sorry for the others. She was just too happy. Slowly, she turned to check on the cellist, hoping against hope that she was keeping cool. She really didn't want to have to use their distraction plan, but if Octavia needed it, the desk beside her was empty. The booklet and her Philly friend were gone. Vinyl's heart sped up. She silently scanned the room, a heavy weight in her gut. If Octavia had run out of the room because she couldn't handle the exam, Vinyl would need to go after her. But how did she get to the door without making any noise? Her thoughts faltered as she spotted a gray flank near the front of the room beside the exam coordinator. Was she trying to talk her way out of doing the exam? Begging for more time to study? Vinyl felt like a failure. No matter how easy the questions were, she hadn't made Octavia feel confident at all. She was supposed to look out for her Philly friend and help her get through stuff like this. Just as her smile began to slip away, a surprised voice echoed from the coordinator's direction. Already? A quieter, more eloquent voice replied, I'm as surprised as you are. The DJ's fading smile reignited into a full-blown grin. Octavia wasn't running away. She was handing the exam. Internally, Vinyl whooped with joy. That's my Philly. Pride welled up in her chest, tempered by a little bit of shame that she had questioned Octavia's willpower at all. Of course, the cellist was fine. There should have been any doubt. Well, Vinyl wouldn't make that mistake again. In an odd reversal of her high school tests, she gleefully turned back to the booklet. The next few pages were no more challenging than the first. Even the long answer questions were easy. She could write books about this stuff. A single paragraph was no problem. Only another 10 minutes passed before she trod out of the exam center with a huge grin and a beat to her step. Octavia was waiting for her as she expected, and the two almost ran to embrace. They bounced around in a circle on their back hooves, each holding the other upright. You were right, the cellist yelled with a gleeful lack of composure. It was so simple. I knew you'd be fine, but damn, you were out of there in the first half an hour. You must have wrecked that test. Vinyl was grinning so hard her cheeks ached, but she didn't care. They stopped bouncing and held each other close, both still on their hind legs in a very tall hug. Thank you, Vinyl, Octavia whispered. I honestly don't think I would have made it through the day without you. Chuckling softly, the DJ kissed her Philly friend's cheek. Consider it payback for that, thing you did before we came down here. She almost choked on her words. The memory brought back a lot of emotions that made it difficult to speak. Twin pools of dark red appeared on Octavia's ashen cheeks. Yet she held Vinyl's gaze steadily. Well, I shall have to do it more often then. Vinyl swallowed. I think we should, go eat. Oh? The child smiled coquettishly. Food! I mean food! Damn it. Now she was the one blushing. I'd love to, but I still have my history exam in a couple hours. Oh, right. I forgot about that. Vinyl pawed at the ground awkwardly. Do you still want me to wait outside for you? Only if you want to. She was feeling a lot more confident now, but the extra support couldn't hurt. A grin suddenly split the unicorn's lips. Yeah, I do. You know, a familiar voice piped up from nearby. For a secret couple, you two are being pretty obvious. The couple realized they were still standing on their hind legs, hugging, and quickly dropped down to all fours. Ignoring the comment, Octavia smiled brightly. Hello, Bonbon. How did you find the psychology exam? The cream-colored man shrugged and inspected her left hoof. It wasn't too brutal. Though, if you could hear Lyra earlier, you might think we were being assaulted. Vinyl chuckled. Well, you know how students get. Some ponies really freak out before exams. Crazy, right? She could feel Octavia's unamused eyes on her. Worth it. Bonbon nodded in unaware agreement. It's silly, really. I mean, I was nervous, but it wasn't debilitating or anything. She jerked as a thought hit her. Oh, I came over to wish you luck in your music theory exams. Are they starting soon? Still half scowling at Vinyl, Octavia raised her head proudly. We've just finished, actually. Really? That was quick. We are very good, Octavia smirked. Vinyl's eyes whitened. Since when does she boast? Not wanting to leave her cellist hanging, she added, the best, actually. The candy-marked mare barked a laugh. You sound like Lyra. She's always going on about how she could wipe the floor with most music students, even though she's not even studying it. Octavia cocked her head curiously. I was wondering about that. Why isn't she? Waving a hoof dismissively, Bonbon began to move away. Long story. Anyway, I'll see you both later. I'm meeting her back at the shop. With their short rendezvous at an end, the couple meandered through the campus to the grassy court. The trees were gray with cold, and the grass was soft and slowly dying. Yet study-weary students still lay scattered around the area, sleeping, talking, or simply enjoying the rare sunlight peeking through overcast skies. Even a couple of teachers were sprawled out on the huge court. Education was exhausting on both ends, it seemed. A frizzy-made psychologist was lying against a tree reading from a stack of gossip magazines, completely undisturbed by the giggles he elicited from passerbys. For a moment, Octavia considered going over to talk to him, but thought better of it. They wouldn't be able to say much in public anyway. Vinyl must have been thinking the same thing, because she instead led the way to a clear spot in the grass and sat down wordlessly. The cellist joined her, sitting close enough that their hind legs were just touching. Vinyl's hoof twitched, and Octavia knew, without asking, that her filly friend was resisting the urge to put a hoof around her. As much as she wanted to feel that comforting warmth, they had been far too obvious lately. So she didn't question Vinyl's self-control. The only sounds were the dull murmur of conversation and the trudging of hooves on grass. Octavia felt her head getting heavy, and even the thought of her impending history exam did nothing to boost her energy. The day felt as though it should have ended a couple hours ago. All that stress and worry, not to mention their extracurricular activities, had left her as exhausted as a marathon runner. Surely it would not be frowned upon if she fell asleep out here next to Vinyl. Vinyl asked something, but Octavia's eyelids were drooping, and her head slowly sank sideways to lean against the warm white mare. The DJ looked down at her lover, around at the other ponies, then back. No pony was even paying any attention to them. So completely vulnerable, yet invisible, Vinyl decided to let her guard down. She rested her head against Octavia's. Finishing their music exams early had given them the virtue of time, a fact for which the unicorn was now infinitely grateful. Slowly, her eyes closed. The estate staff threw themselves out of her way as she marched down the hall. A passing wall-sized mirror showed only a flash of dark blue as she passed. The carpet beneath her hooves was soft and yielding, a complete contrast with the owner. Guests would feel at home when they stayed here, safe, unguarded. Everything from the warm glow of the lights to the unconfronting shade of the pale blue walls was designed to put ponies at ease. At the end of the hall, she pushed through a grand double door into her bedroom. The term luxury suite didn't even begin to describe it, but she swept past the priceless decorations and made straight for her dresser. The wood was polished and old, carved by expert hooves, but it was the items atop the dresser that held her attention. A small ornate jewelry box and 3 framed pictures, one of which was face down. She spared a glance at the middle portrait, admiring her own sky blue coat, and a shorter glance at the one on the right, where a dull gray filly stared back at her uncomfortably. The face-down frame was ignored entirely. She opened the jewelry box with a single, perfectly sculpted hoof and retrieved its contents with another. An impressive silver necklace with an azure gem. She slid around her neck with practiced ease and smiled with the satisfaction when the latch locked immediately. Hesitant knocking from behind her quickly destroyed that smile. She turned quickly, ignoring the way her mane flicked in the opposite direction. "Yes? Yes?" she asked expectantly. A member of the estate staff, a timid young mare with an hourglass on her flank, swallowed nervously before replying. "We've begun packing everything you requested, madame." "Good." The mare made no move to leave. "May I ask a question?" "You may." "Why are you going to Manhattan now of all times? The cold season approaches, and from what I recall, Manhattan winters are very unpleasant. Wouldn't it be best to wait for summer to come around again?" She raised an eyebrow. "Are you suggesting that I miss my daughter's 18th birthday?" And that was chapters 17 and 18 of Vow and Octavia University Days by DawnFade on fanfiction.net. Link is to the stories in the description. Go tell DawnFade what an awesome job he's done. Comment and like this video. I'm sorry for the late upload. I had BronyCon, which I went to, which I'll be uploading vlogs about soon. It's all done. I just got to edit and get off my lazy butt and do that. Work has been a little bit of a pain. I'm going back to college soon. And one of my friends who I have a crush on, well, I've been having romantic relations, so that's been kind of distracting. But it's been a good distraction. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I will see you all in the next video. Stay brony, everybody.